Okay, so I just wanted to hop on and provide an update on the dating market situation. So things are a lot worse than they were before, and I really didn't think things could get much worse. But yes, it's gotten downright diabolical at this point. So I wanted to add the newest thing that's going on. Women have started giving guys their Instagram name when guys ask them out. So instead of just saying, oh no, I have a boyfriend, which is the typical response, whether she has a boyfriend or she doesn't, she will just say, oh, I have a boyfriend. Well, the newest thing is you just give the guy your Instagram name and tell him you're going to add him. And the crazy part about this is they actually are adding guys to their Instagram. So if a woman says, oh, my Instagram is this, hop on later and I'll add you, they actually are adding these guys. So if a woman says, oh, my Insta is this, here's my Instagram link or whatever, she's not kidding, she will add you. But it's having this diabolical kind of effect. And why do I say that it's so diabolical or sinister or whatever? It's really very negative because what it's doing is she's trying to get you out of the dating market. And the most effective way of doing that is not by telling you, oh, I have a boyfriend. Because then you think, oh, well, if she didn't have a boyfriend, maybe I'd have a shot here. But to really get rid of you, to get you out of the dating market. And it's a collective hive mind kind of situation. So women think in terms of a hive mind. So women have kind of hive mind thinking. So if one woman does it, the others pick up on it and they sort of follow each other. So what's happened is women are giving out their Instagram instead of saying, oh, I have a boyfriend. And what this does is it ends the interaction more quickly, and it also has the effect that they want, which is this. They want you to go onto their Instagram, and they will add you. They want you to go onto their Instagram and see their lifestyle and see what kind of people are around them and what kind of guys they've dated in the past. The reason for this is so that you can see that you're not as good looking as her last 5 boyfriends or whatever. Also, you can see that you can't afford their lifestyle. Now, whether that's their actual lifestyle or if that's just snippets of the most expensive things they've ever done, like go on a yacht or travel all across Europe or ride in a Ferrari or whatever, whether that's true or not that that's how they live their life, they want you to think that their lifestyle is extremely luxurious so that you get the idea that you could never possibly afford to date them. So you both see that you're not good looking enough because you see those giant chads that she's been dating. But you also are in a situation where you realize you can't afford to date her either because you can't afford to buy a yacht or go travel Europe or all of that in luxurious hotels and constantly out to dinner. You realize, oh, I can't afford her and I'm not good looking enough. And then the coup de grace is you look and see how many followers she has. And you see that she has like 200,000 followers, 300,000 followers, 1 million followers, 2 million, depends on how good looking she is. But a lot of women will have anywhere from 50,000 to 100,000 followers. So if you look at that and you see all those tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of followers, and then you get an idea of like how many of those are guys and how many of those guys have already messaged her and tried to ask her out or chat her up or whatever, you quickly come to the conclusion that you have about the same odds of winning the lottery as even getting a response from her now that you're on her Instagram. And what it does is it deflates you and removes your whatever delusions you were under that you thought, oh, well, I'll be able to date this woman or I'll be able to ask her out or I'll get a chance to go on a date with her. Whatever you thought before you saw her Instagram. Now you come to the realization that, in fact, you don't have anywhere near enough money or the looks or the status or the Instagram following to be on her level. So you see categorically, like in every category, I'm not enough. Like maybe you have 500 followers on your Instagram, or maybe it's more like 300, or maybe it's 100. I don't know. But chances are, like a lot of guys, just your average Joe, is probably going to have something like 100 to 200, maybe even 300 or 400 followers on Instagram, something like that. So probably less than 500, right? And then you see that she has 50,000 followers or 100,000 followers or more. You quickly realize, I don't have the status really to ask this woman out. What was I thinking? And then it kind of has a cumulative effect, because then you go to the next woman and she says, oh yeah, here's my Insta. I'll add you. She's serious. She will add you. So you go home and you put in her Instagram information and you ask to follow, and then a week later, next thing you know, she pops up on your Insta. You're following her now. She doesn't mind doing that, but the purpose is, one, she likes to add new followers because that raises her social status on social media. The other aspect is she can now try and sell you stuff, whatever it is she's selling. And it might be something benign like her dietary supplements or herbal supplements or whatever. Or it could be something else that's not as wholesome, but she's trying to sell something. So you're now a customer. So they will absolutely add you on their Insta. But that just makes you now a fan or something, because you're just average Joe and you have 100 followers on Instagram. And there's as many followers as you have on Instagram, multiply that times 10, and that's how many guys are currently in her DMs or trying to comment on her pictures. So you're like, oh boy, on every level, I am unqualified to dream of asking this one out. So this happens with 2 women. You go to a third woman. Oh yeah, here's my Insta. You go look at her Insta, same story. She's got tens of thousands of followers. The guys on there are better looking than you. And her lifestyle looks like the type of lifestyle you couldn't afford to pay for, let alone go follow her. You couldn't go through Europe with her and drop 10 grand on a week vacation and then turn around 2-3 weeks later and go to Greece, go through the Baltics, or go to Australia. Or you couldn't keep doing that when she takes multiple trips, at least one trip a month or every other month. She's going to China, she's going here, she's going there, she's in the Bahamas, she's Hawaii, you name it. Staying at luxurious hotels, going on yachts, going to all the best restaurants. Her globe-trotting, jet-setting lifestyle, where she's not even paying for 90% of it anyway, you can't afford to go with her, let alone pay for what she's doing. Set that aside. You couldn't follow what she's doing, spending $10,000 a month or every other month on vacationing. You couldn't afford that, for one. For another, you're not as good looking as the guys who are after her currently. And another thing is, your Instagram doesn't make any sense compared to her Instagram. So by comparison, you're like not even on her radar. Your Instagram is a handful of pictures of you hanging out with your friends at the local bar or whatever, playing video games or something. And then you see her Instagram and she's in Saint-Tropez and she's on a yacht and she's wherever else. Traipsing through Europe, she's in Paris, there's the Eiffel Tower. She's constantly somewhere. And it's not like, oh, she did her one trip to Europe and then that was it. And then she waited a year or two to build up money to go on another vacation. No, she's going on a summer vacation, a spring vacation, and a winter vacation. And those 3 vacations, it looks like she's spending north of 30 grand or more on those vacations. And that's not an incredible amount of money, but then you have to take into account the guys who are taking her around and paying for her dinner and taking her on their yacht or taking them to mansions and things like that. What sense does it make for her to give up that lifestyle and just hang out at your apartment and have a staycation over the summer, or go to some dinky beach you go to and stay in some economy hotel? And so you're like, well, I'll aim lower. Those women the ones that are giving me their Instagram, it's too high. I've got to aim lower. Well, even women who are lower down on the look scale, they still have more going on than you do. So you start dropping down and thinking, well, she can't have 100,000 followers on Instagram. There's no way. And then you find out she has 10,000 followers on Instagram and you have 100 followers on Instagram. So it starts to become this, where do I fit in kind of scenario, where it's like, well, every woman can't have thousands of followers on Instagram. Some of them have got to have way less followers, right? But then it becomes a race to the bottom. It's like, well, how low do I have to go here before I start to lose interest? The same way the internet isn't interested in them. So a woman makes an Instagram account. but she is extremely obese. And then she has a low following on Instagram because she chose to eat food. She ate enough food for an entire year ahead of time. So she's now drought proof. She could live a year without eating because she ate that much food. So she was eating 2 meals instead of one at every, lunchtime she eats 2 lunches. Dinner she eats 2 dinner, or she eats meals in between lunch and dinner. And she's constantly eating, so she always has food in her mouth. She's now 250 pounds. And she's on Instagram. And she still has more followers on Instagram than you do, and more guys hitting her up than you do. You can Google things like Juggernaut Law, but it really has come down to the point where the dating market is now a true nightmare. And I don't really see it getting any better. If anything, like TikTok is going to be the next place where a lot of dating is going to go down. But right now it goes down in the DMs in Instagram. So what you've got is these mega Chad type of guys who have tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of followers, and they are messaging women who have hundreds of thousands of followers, and they're on the same level, and so they're getting a date. Meanwhile, you roll in with 200 followers, and a lot of those are friends and family and not women who are after you following you. So she has tens of thousands of guys who are following her purely because they find her attractive, and she doesn't even know them. So set that aside. Then friends and family and former boyfriends, current boyfriends, and guys who, are close to pulling her maybe. So you realize I'm wasting my time on these higher tier women, and then the middle tier is still way higher than me. And you're looking at the bottom tier and you're like, well, this woman only has 100 Instagram followers. Yeah, because she's eaten herself into obesity by choice, and she chose food over being attractive looking. And so you're just kind of like, okay, well, where do I fit in here? What can I do? And the answer is really nothing. There's nothing you can do. The best chance you've got is focus on investing and try and become rich. Like with your investments, be aggressive with your investing, save a lot of money. Well, while you're saving money and being aggressive with investing and working those overtime hours, you're not going to have the opportunity to do anything else in the dating market because you don't have the money yet, and you're not going to have that money until you're in your 60s. Like, that's when you'll be like, yeah, I can basically go anywhere in the world I want right now. I can go tour Europe and not think twice about it. I can spend 10 grand in Europe. I can spend another 10 grand going all through Asia. Or I can go just camp out in Hawaii and just live there and get a boat and everything else. Well, by that point, yeah, and you've got cataracts, you've got your arteries are starting to clog with plaque. You're in your 60s. You've got like 10 years left or maybe more, but you're near the end anyway. Maybe you've got arthritis or your back hurts or you've got insomnia or something. Or, you're not doing well. You're borderline diabetic and you're out of energy and things aren't working right. But you have all this money and it's like, well, what good is that? You're in your 60s. And the women who you were interested in are in their 60s now, and they've got grandkids, and they're not looking to go on a date with you. And you can't date the younger, 20-somethings and 30-somethings. That makes no sense as a 60-year-old. And furthermore, they're looking for guys who are their age, and they should. So you're kind of like, there isn't an answer. You can become a millionaire, but it's going to take most of your life to get there with aggressive investing. Like, you can get up to, a couple $1 million with your investments if you work hard and you pay attention to what you're doing and you invest wisely. Then when you're in your 60s and you retire, you can look back and say, yeah, I've got about $3-4 million in my bank account now. I'm really not worried about going on vacation. Like, I can do that. I can live a lifestyle where I have a brand new Lexus and, a very nice home. And I don't have to worry about money. I can eat wherever I want. I can have a steak dinner every night if I want, or whatever I choose to do, I can go do it now. But you're so old by that point. You're near the end, and you're tired, and you don't want to go traipsing all over the world, globetrotting. And you can't keep up with the women who are in their 20s and 30s, and they're not looking to date you anyway. They're looking for guys who have $3 million and are their age and can go take them these places. So there isn't really an answer at this point. And the answer is not date down, because you're not going to have the interest level in a 3 to go pay for her to go to Europe. Like, you're not going to foot the bill for a woman who's like a 3 out of 10 when you're like a 5 out of 10. And you can't go get a 5 out of 10 because she's looking to date up. And she's going to have more of a social media presence than you. She's going to have more guys after her. So it's kind of a mess, but I wanted to get on and just talk about that really quickly. Instagram is becoming more of a force as far as the dating market goes. And that's bad news for you, buddy, and all of us. All right. If you like what you've heard here and you'd like to hear more, please leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.